All right, GM, give it just a second. I just tweeted things out, so we'll get going here in a minute. Um, it's good to be back, though. This will be a little bit of a shorter week than normal. I've got about half an hour after that. I've got to get going for some Good Friday stuff, but we will enjoy the time that we do have. No poker space this week, so we'll be able to dive into a lot of the other stuff going on. I was an idiot for trying to play last week. I knew that I was going to get out quickly, that I was going to be a sacrifice for somebody to be able to take those chips back with them. It's just a matter of time, and it eventually happened. I forget exactly who knocked me out, but again, wasn't very surprised. Did have a good group of winners though from the previous week. A lot of people that have been active in the Stonks community for a while and added it up. One second. Added it up. I think that we gave away last week. Let's see. It was a little over $3,000 in prizes. So originally said over $2,000 in prizes, but we gave away over $3,000 in prizes of both No Chill and Stonks. And then on top of that, within the community, you had the OMB giveaway with Lumber to 80s, aka Matt, which was legendary as well. I need to pin Matt's awesome tweet slash, I don't know whether, like, do you call that a thread anymore? Or is it just a tweet now when it's long form like that? So, I don't know. Barooster GM, welcome back. How's it going, man? Happy Good Friday.
Was popping, baby.
Oh, man, just sitting here, dude, sitting here stressing about the packing that I've got to do for the trip that I'm about to make. So, yeah, dude, I
Oh,
always, I
well, the
always get
wonky
this.
the wonky meetup isn't for another 20 days, dude.
I know, man. I know. That's another one.
What's your status on
Dude, I don't want to give guarantees right now. I think I am leaning closer to being able to go now.
that? Let's go. Yeah, me and Eddie's right. I booked my flight last night. I'm gonna land a
So
day early and kick away 80s.
yeah, it's still not a guarantee yet, but I think I'm going to be able to pull some things to be able to get out of this other thing and go with you guys. So
Yes,
that's the goal
sir.
right now.
That's good because we collectively decided if you didn't show up, we were just market selling all no chill and stonks.
Well, I mean, maybe that's what has to happen.
Nah, just kidding. But no, glad to hear you're leaning on the edge of going. Um, Glad to hear, excited, super excited.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Dude, I tried to get Hondo too. Also, Hondo though, unfortunately, has has a wedding that weekend that he cannot miss. That he's like in slash part of. Um, but yeah, dude. I mean, I don't know. I think again, not 100%. Still a couple things I've got, but like I do think I am now on the edge of leaning toward it. So,
I think
um,
that's I'm texting AD's the information now. No, I think people are glad to hear that. I think a lot of people, a lot of faces we haven't seen before. Excited to meet Lumber. Let me check who's in that group chat. Yeah, excited to meet the people that I haven't met before. Apparently, BTC's bringing some buddies, so that'll probably be interesting if they're anything like him.
so wait, what is the total count up to right now?
Let me check the. We are at me 80s. Crow, B-Ways, BTC, I think Breeze Champ, Lander, Pytho. I'm not sure about Ellis. I think Pick God. Graphite's going to make it from overseas. Nelsonius, AO, Dustin, Lumber, and me. So I think we're at a solid 15,
Bro, I think
16
that's
people.
you just named 6 or 7 that I haven't met in person.
Yeah, me too. I think we've met the same people in person at this point. Unless, have you met Nelsonius yet? Yeah, you have.
I feel
Didn't you?
like I've met Nelsonius, but it may just because I've seen his docs enough. But I feel like I met him. Well, like, he
Was he in
wasn't at
South by
South by,
South?
was he?
I can't remember at this
I,
point.
I for some reason I think he
I
was,
think he
but
was.
I thought he was.
No?
Maybe he wasn't, but I thought he was. I know exactly who he is. Like I
Yeah.
know, I've seen enough pictures, if nothing else. It's one or the other. It's one of those weird things where after enough time of actually talking to a person via spaces, you know their voice and you've seen their face, like so you can piece together and make it feel like you've met them if you haven't. Like if nothing else, that's where I am with Nelsonius.
Yeah. No,
So
Sony is a fucking absolute legend. Always love it when he pops out. But I can't remember now if he pulled up to South by Southwest. Now I have a strange feeling he didn't. Or did he? I
I
don't
don't know, man. I don't know.
know.
So what do you have going on this weekend for Easter?
Um, Funnily enough, probably going to the casino in a few hours. Mm.
Bro, is there a casino up there?
Yeah, there's a whole casino town, dude. It's like 45 minutes away. Blackhawk.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I knew there were in New Mexico with a lot of the reservations and stuff outside over there,
Yeah, it's on a
but did not
reservation.
realize there was some in Colorado.
Yeah, they have like shit, they have like 10, 15, maybe even 20. Um, and they've been paying me to come and eat buffets and leaving with money recently, so I'm just stacking up the points on my little members card. Yeah, probably going there with a buddy. And other than that, honestly, probably just shitcoin gambling at this point. I have rotated a little bit into NFTs. I think that rotation we might see here sooner rather than later, especially on a few collections. So I have started rotating some of my Solana Casino profits to NFTs. And shout out to the on-chain Gaius claim reached 1.5 ETH, or however you say it, Gasis, or I don't know. I think it's sitting at 1.25 right now. Uh, so yeah, shout out to that.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I mean, I agree with you. I think we are going to start seeing that rotation happen. Like, I take that back. I think we both agree that it's going to happen. Like, it is only a matter of time before it does. But the real question then becomes when. And if you think that it's going to happen anytime within the next, like, here's the thing that happens a lot of the time to people. They're like, well, I've still probably got a few months left until this does happen. This rotation back into it. So I just want to squeeze out a little bit more time and then I'll start getting some exposure. Um, and they just watch things continue to get flat on the NFT side, or they slowly bleed out and they're like, okay, well, I've got more time. And next thing you know, they look over and there's like 1 or 2 sweeps, and all of a sudden the floor on that collection's up like 30 something percent. And they're like, okay, well, I mean, it still hasn't really happened yet. I've got and next thing you know, it's more than 2x. And that's about the time where a lot of the people that were like, okay, a rotation's going to happen, they believed it, they start FOMOing in, right? And then a collection does like another 2x. And that's about the point where the outside people that were thought, okay, NFTs are dead, they're like, oh shoot, NFTs aren't dead. And then they start FOMOing in. And that's when you start getting the new wave of entrants that really follow in. So that's just kind of like the progression of the cycle. So I think the smartest thing to do it is where you're doing it right now. where it's still debatable about like, when is this rotation going to happen? Is it like people still questioning whether or not it really is? Like, that's where you really want to do it, because that's where you beat the curve. But you've got to be patient, because the drawback of that is that you'll have, you don't know exactly what the window is going to be with where you're going to be sitting on it, but you are going to have a very comfy entry.
Yeah, I added a couple pandas over the past couple days just because they were sitting at like, I think they're sitting at like 1.9 something right now, which is criminal in my opinion. Um, and I looked at the depth, and it's like 50 pandas to 3 ETH. And that was after a massive blur dump. After I bought it, when I purchased, it was like 50 pandas to 3.3 Ethereum, and and at that point too, I might miss the top of meme coin season, although I feel it's a little bit toppy right now. Uh, the lives of new launches are getting a lot shorter. I mean, there's a bonk bot scare this morning. Same thing with like Pump.Fun. There's a rumor circulating that people were getting drained. Um, and like the only like it seemed to be like some similarities were people that were connected to Pump.Fun, and then Bonkbot made an announcement, said it was like a private key exploit with a third party, but they haven't identified it. But then people are saying only Sol was getting drained, not other tokens. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, if it's a private key exploit, wouldn't they be taking other tokens as well and not just Solana? So it feels a little toppy, right? We just came off of, pre-sale season 2. And this on top of all of it, Machi is doing a pre-sale. And he's like my ultimate top signal for pretty much anything. Got me out of the top on Frentech, even though I probably should have grinded a little bit.
That is
And
so true. And he raised, like, what was it, 30 mil?
within like 4 or 5 hours, he raised
Oh, so
like
he
30
raised
mil.
more then.
Yeah, no, I don't even know if it's closed yet. Honestly, in my opinion, hot take, like I want him to rug that coin so bad and only put like 2% into the LP and then use the rest to sweep NFTs. Like even if it's just apes, like I am I am completely like I kind of want that to happen because I think that would I don't know that it would almost bring him to like a main character villain type again, but against meme coins rather than NFTs. And I think you'd actually see like a massive influx of volume come back in if you put $25 million into fucking apes. Honestly, I hope he does it. I would love to see that happen.
But dude, that's the
Feel
thing that I
for
don't get about a lot of these pre-sales is the people that are launching them. There are zero, like, there are just about zero promises that they're putting out there as far as what they're going to do with these funds. People have
there's none. They
seen,
just post an address.
well, yeah, people have seen a lot of these big characters only put like 50% in the LPs, right?
Yeah.
And they're just okay with it, right? Like the next thing you know, like Sartashi, for instance, I think he put 40 or 50% in the LP out of the millions of soul that he, like, millions of dollars of soul that he raised. And then you see him over the course of the next like week or two, and he's like, "What should I sweep? What should I sweep?" Because not only did he um, you know, raise a bunch and just pocket half of it. B, he also launched a coin that was, semi-successful that he also got, I think, some type of allo for. So he like doubled up. And it just, nobody cares.
Yeah, I mean, on it, the only time people care is if number go down, dude. Like, so if you got the right Ponzonomics, and then at that point, like the space moves so fast, like people forgive and forget. Most people do forgive and forget, like in crypto, so quickly. Now there are some people who like you burn them once, and they'll find your home address to your extended families. It's a game of roulette. But yeah, there hasn't been any consequences, so people aren't going to stop
Well,
doing it. And then if
and
you make people money, they're going to just ape into it.
this might sound bad, but it's like even the Zach XBT call out is losing its sting because he's calling out so many people, and well
Right.
deserved, right? Everybody that he is calling out deserves to be called out, in my opinion. And but there are just so many of them that one, like there's no way that he can go out there and publish every single person that's doing this, right? Because there are
Yeah,
just
there's
so many.
15 rugs a second,
And then
dude. Like,
two, because there's so many, and because like a lot of them are from these, somewhat prominent known accounts, a lot of people like it just back in the day when he would call out somebody, it'd be like once every few weeks, it'd be this big name and it'd be like this shocking thing because they weren't doing something so publicly facing, right? Now, I think what the difference is, it's like the people that are doing this out in the open, right?
yeah, I mean,
And
like what?
nobody
Crypto
cares.
Bitlord? He's like completely doxxed, post face videos all the time. And how much did he rug his coin for? Wasn't it like, I think at least 20
Well,
something
which one?
million.
He's got like a few coins.
Yeah,
Mong was
exactly.
one of them. But then he did that
Didn't he just
Molly
do
pre-sale,
another?
and he
Yeah.
also raised 8 figures. And I'm not sure what exactly he did with it. So,
If he's even done anything with it yet. But yeah, no, like people, like when there's not like consequences, people aren't going to care. Also, shout out to SBF sentencing. I mean, he's probably only going to end up doing 7 years and maybe only like 4, and then the last 3 on house arrest. But uh, it's nice to see a win.
yeah, no, I agree. I think that I think you're right on that too. Like the 20, 25 years, whatever it was more virtue signaling. He's going to get out on good behavior early. And, it is what it is, right? Like at the end of the day, I think it's still a win. Um, and yeah, man, I mean, something that was important, especially when you look through the real paper trail of everything that went on in the background, of all the shady, shady stuff that he was doing, not just with customer funds, but that he was doing with customer funds to tamper with markets was also really disturbing, right? Like
Oh
that's
yeah,
where it pushes the edge a step further because it's like, hey, not only am I stealing your funds, I'm going to steal your funds to literally bet against you.
yeah. And then
So,
also, the whole blatant fuckery. I hope he does just enough time to where he has to get like prison gang tattoos on him. And maybe he catches at least 1 or 2 assaults in that time.
I mean, maybe he does commit 1 or 2 assaults himself, right? Like maybe it hardens to that point.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Depends on if they give him his Adderall subscription.
Hey, maybe he comes out clean and he's a new man.
Maybe.
Maybe he can maintain eye contact with a human being again. Well, dude, that's the scariest thing too. Looking at his whole transformation journey, was looking at his interview that he did with Luke Martin, like back in early 2019, right before he started FTX, or right as he did one or the other, versus where he ended up. Right, he was thin, looked in shape, was lively, actually looked at the camera, was having a real conversation, and you're like, okay, this is it's a real human being, right? Versus seeing the final product of what the stress, drugs, everything else did to him. Dude, it was disgusting. And I think a lot of people can say that to a certain extent, like with just different phases. His was just on a completely different level, right? Like I looked at myself from the beginning of the bull market before it started to the peak. And, I had my own little SBF transformation where I put on weight, just was not myself. And, that type of stuff happens, but I was still able to maintain a conversation with the person, right? Like I didn't lose my morals along the way. Um,
Well,
so
I mean, maybe
yeah,
if you were scamming people out of millions of dollars, it might be harder to make eye contact.
it's
Or
true. It's
billions.
true.
Billions, my bad.
So yeah, but anyway, I mean that was a huge W this week. So definitely worth noting out or pointing out. Um, yeah, I do think you're smart. Again, people are going to look back to this combo and they're going to think back about just being ahead of the curve, right? Because in crypto, again, that's the biggest thing that you preach is if you can be ahead of the curve and be patient because things are flat. Honestly, they're flat, and when they're flat, they usually are slowly bleeding. They're flat and slowly bleeding for a long time, and then it's like vertical, right, where you don't get a chance to hop on for the ride. So if you have that patience to get in, the patience and conviction to get into the flat and slowly bleeding, you're going to do well eventually. You just have to be the crazy kid on the block for a little bit. But you're in crypto, so like that should be a
It's
comfy space to be.
it's plus EV to be the crazy person on the block, right? Either you're super left bell or you're super right bell, but at least you're not mid bell. And yeah, dude, I think a lot of people are gonna like be waiting for that meme coin blow off top and then sit through a 40% drawdown
Well,
before they even like finally be like, fuck, okay, I should have rotated. And then, yeah, and like the rotation might be up 2, 3, 4x by then.
dude, I won't lie. Perfect example of this that I've been through recently on the meme coin side of things was No Chill, because if it weren't Pytho and Wonka and those guys started it, I probably would have dumped my bag sometime in the lows, right? Because it went up to X amount, then it dropped like 90%, and it was just kind of sitting there. And like, if it weren't those guys, I probably would have just turbo exited the entire position and not thought twice about it, right? But because I had a reason to kind of have conviction, and if nothing else, just like support a friend, then it just led me to like, diamond handing it. And since the bottoms, it has done like more than a 100x. And I would have never caught that, like, had it not been for having some deeper level of conviction during that sideways and down and whatever else. So point being, sometimes that's what it takes, right? It's like having whatever X factor to be able to be patient during that turn down and not FOMO that capital into somewhere else. Because like, trust me, there are periods where I still had a decent enough bag where I'm like, hey, I can, rotate 5 figure this, like just sell the entire thing, rotate like 5 figures into another meme coin where it looks like it's taking on, and like I would not have outperformed just sitting on it. So yeah, like, again, sometimes the comfiest place to be is to be sideways and down because you know that you have the opportunity to be able to stack something and something that you believe in.
Yeah, conviction plays. Um, for I'm just talking about like the majority of the market, right? Like, I mean, in every active meme coin trader's portfolio, I would expect probably no higher than for the majority of people. There's going to be your outliers, but I think no higher than 50-50 split, 50% high conviction plays, 50% gambling on new sub 1 million shitters. And so, yes, I agree with the high conviction plays. Don't necessarily cheat your bags for a 40% loss and chase something else. Um, but your true shitters, like, absolutely, like, don't be Captain Save a Coin. Don't bag hold that all the way down to zero. If it's not going in the right direction. Like, a lot of these coins, are dead within 15 minutes, let alone an hour. Some go up only for 2 days and then straight down after that. Yeah, no, I'm definitely trying to be a little bit ahead of the bell curve and rotate at least a portion of my profits now. I didn't catch the Pico bottom, didn't expect to. I don't expect to sell the Pico top, uh, but I do expect to have a positive RR on the rotation.
Yeah, and dude, that's another important thing, right? It, like, being comfortable not catching the Pico top is also important, right? Where you're gonna have positions that will keep running when you exit them, and some, like, you've just got to be okay with that, right? Like, it's just a natural part of how things go. And we'll get to that point. I feel like right now it's more so about the flip side of it, where it's about having conviction for the longer term play out, at least on the NFT side. Um, but I'll say this: I actually think that meme coins are going to be an integral part of this entire cycle. I brought that up a little while ago. I think that they're going to be more deeply rooted than they even were last cycle. I don't. I mean, I definitely see it going through waves where it focuses back into the real, more utility with the majors, etc. But like, I don't know, man. I just don't really see this going away. At least not this cycle. It just is one of those things where it's it's got that stickiness to it that NFTs had at the very beginning of the last cycle as well. So realistically, I think memes and NFTs dominate, like, and it's a little bit weird to say that, but I think memes and NFTs kind of dominate this next bull market. And I don't think that's changing. So,
Yeah, dude,
we're
it's the Robin Hood theory, right? Like that's why most people, one of the OG theses of crypto in the first place is, you know, re-leveling that playing field when it comes to, being able to make generational wealth. And as your major corporations and entities like BlackRock start, um, you don't have that opportunity there anymore. And now your opportunity for your 100,000 X's are memes and shitters and NFTs.
until we get the BlackRocks of the world buying our memes, we haven't topped. Like, I'm just gonna put it that, like, seriously though, until the BlackRocks of the world start buying the memes and the NFTs, we have not topped. I believe that. We might have local tops with like machi signals along the way, um, but I don't think that means that they're necessarily inherently the top. Because especially when you look at the gambling culture that the world is going through right now, right? Like, you turn on ESPN, and ESPN is basically a glorified gambling company now. They really are, because that's what they talk about 50% of the time as they're looking through stuff is like, oh, what prop bet are you going to make on this, Chuck? I guess that's TNT, but I mean, still, even TNT, right? Like, Stephen A. Smith talking about the line of some game, and it just, they're incorporating it because they've absorbed these gambling companies, and it's just a way that everybody, especially since like the gamification of America and slash of the world in general happened during COVID. And I still think that we are just in a deeper rooted sense of that, right? Like the whole mentality of when the world rallied around GME and AMC and the meme stocks, like, that is going to be amplified on a different level completely. Again, when we're really in the heart of the bull market, because in my opinion, new retail is not here yet. And when new retail is here, what are they going to gravitate toward naturally? Like, it makes sense. We've seen it happen in multiple markets before. It's going to happen again. So we are still just doing this amongst ourselves at this point. Like, the real wave of new retail isn't here yet.
Yeah, dude, this week, I've had my most quote unquote normie text. Three different people this week started texting me about crypto and what to, and these are the more intelligent ones. These are the ones that semi participated last cycle, um, and have the very most basic baseline. But someone texted me asking me about like, should I put 10K into ZK Sync? Um, and I was like, okay, I don't know what videos you're watching, but stop watching them. Um, and yeah, I've had my most interact or most normie text this week, and I would say it's on like the smarter side of the bell. and not more of like your retail exit liquidity type who still do like a 2, 3 to maybe even 5x, but then don't know, backhold it back to zero as everybody does their first couple runs.
Yeah, I still haven't really gotten a large number of texts from a lot of people outside of it yet. The closest thing that I'll get is maybe some of the bros in my Bible study asking about how my sleep has been or something like that, right? Like, or, I've gotten I got a couple texts on Doge. One of my other buddies that, he's a good friend. I wouldn't consider, the only thing that I would consider about this to be a little bit off was that I sent him, I'd sent him some no chills like way back in the day, and that's done well for him. So he's paid a little bit of attention to the memes. But he texted me something with like a screenshot of like whatever the Jews token was. Where how there was that minute where for some reason everybody wanted to bid on the super racist um, tokens that were out there. He was like, "Is this actually real?" I was like, "Yeah, like it actually is real." But then I saw that somewhere else, and I think it was from a more mainstream account that he probably got it from. So maybe a little bit more penetration for some of these memes than what we've had to begin with. But I still don't even like. Have there been TikTok coins that are out there? You know how like SafeMoon, I feel like was a TikTok coin.
Yeah, dude. Someone sent me. Fuck, it's called Ring AI. Someone sent me a TikTok investor coin this morning, and he was like, "What do you think about this?" And it was a TikTok thing, and then I watched it, and it was the classic. This is my plan to retire this bull market. If you knew what I knew about this, you would be 30 times more bullish than you are now. Uh, and so, yeah, I guess there is. And my response to him was, I was like, first of all, don't watch TikTok investor anything. And second, I was like, to be honest with you, I was like, I've never even heard of it. And I've never seen anybody that I follow post about it. Now, however, that could be just my ignorance. And I, will admit that, it's possible that, it is the next 100x and I just have no idea about it. But, I've never heard of it. So I'm going to leave you with that.
So there
And
are some TikTok coins that are out there right now.
I guess so. Yep.
Okay, because but either way, I don't feel like any of them have hit these, just wild valuations like what you had with SafeMoon back in the day, right? Like everything that's really hit those wild valuations, I feel like has been born on the crypto Twitter side of things. So yeah, I still think that we're a ways away from that. When it happens, it's going to happen fast, but as much as people say, "Hey, this year looks toppy. This year looks toppy," like yes, maybe there's some local tops, but we are nowhere near the top, in my opinion. Um, so yeah, like there are going to be some opportunities. I think it's one of those things that like when you see down, when you see sideways, when you see anything like that right now, it's all about having the conviction of where we're heading over the next couple of years. And it almost makes the dips on whatever you're in a little bit more comforting because you're like, okay, finally I get a chance to take a little bit of a break, move a little bit slower. Um, because if you've been here long enough, you know what I mean, that whenever things are just moving up, you don't get a break, right? As fun as it is, as much as the adrenaline keeps you moving, you just don't get a break when things are up only. Like, I
Yeah. You
mean,
know what time
every
I woke
minute
up
of
this
the day.
morning? Take a guess. Take a guess at what time I woke up this morning.
4 a.m.
2:30.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I was like, oh, this is getting a little outrageous because it's been like that for quite a few days, or actually almost 2 months now. My very bullish sleep schedule is like wake up at 2:30, and then my bull market nap is like 5 p.m. to 8 or 9 p.m. And then I'm up for like another hour or two, then take another hour power nap, and then restart. Very healthy and very bullish.
I respect that. Yeah, dude. I'm somewhere similar where I just wake up multiple times throughout the night, and then depending on whatever's happening, I'll stay up for X amount of time. And um, I slept pretty heavily last night though. I had a little Delta 8 seltzer, and it just caused me to completely pass out. And it was kind of nice, but it was almost, I forgot how heavy those sleeps can be. And I don't, even though I slept and I was knocked out and I didn't really wake up throughout the night, I don't feel like I woke up nearly as refreshed as I would have without it. Right. So I don't want to say it felt like a hangover, but I didn't feel just fresh waking up either.
That
Um,
might have been just because you're probably still high when you woke up. Uh,
I don't know. I don't think so, man. I don't think so. So, but yeah, no, man. I'm still looking forward to what we've got in store over the next several months. I mean, the happening's coming up here in a few weeks, and if you haven't experienced a happening before, I'm just gonna let you know right now. The happening is like a come to Jesus moment in a way where, when you say that you accept Jesus, like you are not all of a sudden just this new person, whatever. The happening is the same thing. You're not all of a sudden, Bitcoin's not this new thing. It's not all of a sudden going to change and like, the second coming where like the price immediately skyrockets, the world changes, you get this new outlook on like it's the same as it was the next day. It's almost like this really lackluster moment where it's not what you expect whenever it happens, but it is a general shift slash catalyst for that timeline of fundamentals that do eventually drive a bigger change.
yeah, it's always a nothing burger. In fact, most times, like the next couple of weeks are typically a little bit red immediately after the happening, just as history has shown. It will be an event, though. However, if you're going to the Wonky Stonks meetup, because that's going to be during the happening, and we're probably going to be raging a little bit. So it will be a happening to remember for those attendees.
Um, yeah, man, I don't know. The next couple of months are still going to be fun. A lot of good things to look forward to. Um, but Rooster, by the way, I did double check one thing though for coming up. The whole yacht type situation, dude. It's not something you want. I don't know. Like one, I realize with all of these, like they've got cap limits on how many people you can only let 12 people on for a booked slash chartered anything that I can find up there. You can get a then side boat potentially to be able to like bring more people up there. I don't know, dude. It's one of those things where it's not even like it's that much to be able to do it, but with the logistics of everything, I don't know if it's worth it. Like,
Sounds like a
so
wonky whale only thing, then. I'm kidding.
well, I
uh,
mean, hey, to be honest, I have the feeling that if we did something like that, half the guys in here are so degenerate that they wouldn't wake up and make it out there at all anyway. So we'd probably be fine on the numbers. Um, but oh man,
yeah, I mean, I really couldn't. We're gonna have a blast regardless of what goes down. Just hanging out. So, not really worried either way it goes. Will be fun regardless.
yeah. All right, y'all. Well, it's been real. I actually stayed a little bit longer than I should have on this. I got to get going and hit the road here in a bit. So, love you guys, and we will happy Easter to everyone. We'll see you guys next week.
Cheers, everybody. No chill to a bill. Stonks to a billion.
Yes, sir. Later.